Hey, it's the Randy Karraker Show on Sports Hub STL. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker. Great to have you with us. And Sports Hub STL is presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Cardinals are off today, and that's a good thing because they are slumping, and they just need a well-deserved day off. Interactions that Matthew had last night that the Cardinals have not turned. The Cardinals, who have more wins than any other team in the National League in the month of May, won as many games this May already
not good enough
as they did all last May, but they have not turned it around, according to some out there in the general populace. I will have you know that the Cardinals have one of the best records in baseball since the beginning of April, actually, since right after that series against the Boston Red Sox. So I would argue that the Cardinals have not turned things around. I think they have. I think they're playing pretty well.
Let's some added context last night on the City Hub post game. Of course, all of our post game shows presented by Hot Shots. Check out your closest location at hotshotsnet.com and make sure you get out to the 35th anniversary party coming up on June 1st. So on the City Hub post game last night after they lost, I made a comparison talking about how the Cardinals fight this year has been one of the reasons they've turned it around. And I immediately then got multiple people in the chat, which you can join the chat right now, actually.
We want you to, yes.
Who joined the chat and then said, turning it around, what? They just lost 2 in a row. They just lost 3 or 4. How is that turning it around? And I couldn't help but chuckle and be like, there's really Cardinals fans out there who are determined to be negative no matter what still. And not even like the fun way where it's like, no, I just want to trade everyone away because I believe in rebuilding. That's the fun way, in my opinion, for a biased reason. But a very just negative bent after a couple losses.
And if you aren't aware of it, and not everybody is expected to pay close attention, we are here to help you and help inform you. That's our job. And part of it is that the Detroit Tigers have the best record in baseball, all baseball, not just the American League, not just the American League and International League and interleague play, but all of baseball. The Detroit Tigers have the best record. So losing to the Tigers is not a complete disaster. One other quick point. Yesterday was the first time since May 2nd, a span of 18 games, that the Cardinals had lost by more than 1 run. They had been for basically 3 weeks in every single game. And finally they lose yesterday by a score of 5-1. The Tigers scoring runs in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th, and Pallante allowed those. The Cardinals just did not win.
See, Samuel Howe was one of those exact people, and he's still active. Losing 3 or 4 is quite the turnaround.
Well, if you just want to take a quarter of the season, the 1998 New York Yankees won 114 games. They won 125 and won the World Series. They had stretches where they lost 3 of 4. So would you say that they didn't turn things around? I guess they never did. The turnaround was that they were terrible, right? They went from winning, basically going 41-6, and you lose 3 out of 4, and you're terrible. I think you need to take the baseball season, I do at least, I don't think you have to, as a portfolio, but you also have to understand that every single team that has won a World Series in the history of the sport has lost 3 out of 4 games. And so, yeah, you can say, well, they haven't turned it around. I would argue that the Cardinals have. I would argue that the Cardinals having the most wins since the start of May in the National League, I would say that that's a positive. And relative to either 2 years ago or last year, the Cardinals having one of the best records at home in the National League is a benefit. And the Cardinals, until yesterday, they had won 12 of 14. And now they've lost 3 out of 4. They had a 9-game winning streak. And so now they've only won, one of their last 4. Hey, if you don't want to enjoy it, that's fine. But I would not say that the big picture has turned around simply because the Cardinals lost 2 out of 3 to the team with the best record in baseball. And by the way, the Tigers 3 games better than the Yankees. And overall, that's in the American League. Their overall record, a game and a half clear of Philadelphia. So the Tigers are really, really good. And if you're wondering who the team with the most wins in baseball is since the start of May, it's the Minnesota Twins. They had a 13-game winning streak.
There you go. They face off against the Twins in, 2 series from now? 2 series
yeah,
from
World
now?
Series preview.
Oh, Jesus. As long as they don't have air conditioners, I'm fine. Sandwich Man, when the team loses a few games and is able to bounce back and start winning again, that's a sign of a playoff team. We shall see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, and
like
Arizona's good. If you don't know, they're going to throw Zach Gallen tomorrow, and then they're going to throw Merrill Kelly on Saturday, and then they're going to throw Brandon Pfaadt on Sunday. So the Cardinals will have their hands full with the Diamondbacks pitching, but Arizona, with Eugenio Suarez, Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll is really good. They've got a really nice team. Lourdes Gurriel is there. Naylor's having a good year for them. Montero, their catcher, is really good. They've got a lot of really good pieces in Arizona, and that won't be a walkover either. Now, that's a team that when you're at home, you want to compete with. So, yeah, we will learn a snippet about the Cardinals. But again, I look at a season, and here we are. We're almost 2 months in. We're Memorial Day weekend. So this is a benchmark for every team. The Cardinals, within 3 games of the National League Central lead, I don't know that we can draw a complete conclusion about any team on Memorial Day. I will tell you this, that on my birthday, August 19th of 2011, I said the Cardinals had a 0% chance of making the playoffs. A 0% chance. 0% chance of making the playoffs. 2011, they made the playoffs. You know what happened then? They wound up winning series, and then another series. And then they wound up going to the World Series, and they wound up beating the Texas Rangers. So
isn't it fun to be wrong sometimes?
It is fun to be wrong.
That's the way you got to look at it, Randy. It's just a little bit fun to be wrong. I guess there is one thing, if you want to actually complain about something, it is kind of disappointing that they can fight against a guy like Tariq Skubal, and then they just come out and they're whiffing at everything. They're flailing away. 9 strikeouts against a full bullpen staff.
I would like to know how the rest of baseball does against Johnny Hole's staff. Because remember that game against San Diego in the playoffs when they got eliminated?
You have the little things you're throwing in today have always been highlight reel. First of all, you get everything out of Brandon Pfaadt. You should be his pitching coach. Secondly, Johnny Hole's staff had a good game. Yeah. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Remember the COVID year when the Cardinals played the Padres and they had Johnny Hole's staff going, and
I don't know why I like
that so much. The Cardinals.
I really like Johnny Hole's staff.
That was the 2020 season.
It's really dumb, but I like it.
That was fun when they were playing in the empty stadium, and the Cardinals. It was like they had never seen any of these pitchers before. And who was their manager at the time? Chase Tingler. Chase Tingler was his name, and I think Chase Tingler, and he basically threw 9 guys at the Cardinals and shut them down.
Yeah, to Bub's point, the Cardinals are allergic to bullpen games. Apparently, just apparently.
I mean, they are.
It's a stupid little thing to get actually aggravated about.
Aren't you supposed to change? Aren't your allergies supposed to change every 8 years or something? So, like after 8 years of being bad in against bullpen games, shouldn't the Cardinals' allergies change so that they're not allergic to them anymore?
You don't understand. A few years from now, like 10 years from now, Bud Norris II is going to come back and just ravage the Cardinals.
Oh no!
God forbid that man has twins.
I'm thinking that the kid's name will be BJ.
yeah, exactly.
Bud
BJ
Jr.
Norris is going to roll into Busch Stadium sometime in the mid 2030s and just mow this club down.
Hockey Dad Don, I really like your chat because Hockey Dad Don says this team has an amazing upside. In 2 or 3 years, I feel the talent is going to shine. What the Tigers are now is what the Cardinals will be next year. The Cardinals are probably a year behind Detroit, and Detroit had a bunch of high picks. Their leading winner, Casey Mize, on the IL, first pick in the draft. Riley Green was the 5th pick in the draft. Spencer Torkelson was the 1st pick in the draft. So they've got a lot of really good young talent. Skubal, he was hurt for a long time. He's 28 years old, but he was hurt for a long time, but obviously won the Cy Young Award last year, and they developed him. Cardinals a little bit behind Detroit in regards to being in that competitive window, but I really do think that the Cardinals have a chance to kind of be like the Tigers are. By the way, and we talked about this the other day on this show, Torkelson and Jordan Walker. Happy birthday, Jordan Walker. He's 23 today. They are pretty comparable in terms of their ascent at the major league level. I was thinking about this because I'll bring up Jordan Walker's name. And if you want to chat in and say that Jordan Walker sucks, feel free to do so. But I'm sure that there were people that told me I sucked when I was 23 at my job, and I got better and better. I'm sure that there are people that told you,
Oh
you
God,
sucked at your
yes.
job
Oh
when you
God,
were
yeah.
23.
There was a guy who we all still work with in the business who I think I might have been 25 at this point, who looked at me and said, "If I was a program director, I would never hire you." My response to him, of course, was, "Well, that's fine. You'll never be a program director." But nonetheless, yes, it was said.
Yeah. So there you go. And you look around, and there are so many comps out there. This is really easy to do if you want it, but I'll just type in the name Aaron Judge because I know this for a fact. Okay. Well, Aaron Judge was.
Do we have another person that we can use an example of someone who didn't hit until 20? Who didn't
want to use Yordan Alvarez?
Yes, I do. Let's use a different hitter today.
Okay. Yordan Alvarez, pretty good offensive player, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. At least. I mean, he's definitely does the thing you want from Jordan Walker. He provides you power.
Yeah. Yordan Alvarez played in the majors at age 22. Then in 23, he had 369 plate appearances, and he was good. Then he only had 9 plate appearances in 2020. That was the COVID year. And then he really got going at age 24. That's when he really started popping it with 33 homers and 104 RBIs. So you can look around baseball and find a lot of guys, a million guys that never really got going until well after their 23rd birthday.
Yeah, and I think it's it's fair to be positive with him. With that said, I do want to complain about the last 6 at-bats he's had in his career.
Okay, sure.
It's not really a little. It's just the one thing that John Mozeliak said the other day when he talked to reporters in the bullpen was, and
what was he doing out in the bullpen?
Sorry, he was in the dugout. My apologies. I don't know why I said bullpen. The place where the baseball players hang out during the game. One of those two things.
Okay.
And he talked about the need to see improvements. And so for me, I know it's a little thing, but early in the season, I'm going to focus on little things here and there. And that is, he gets the big hit in the avalanche of runs over the weekend, and then the last 2 games he has 2 strikeouts in each game, goes over 3 in one of them, goes 1 for 3 in the other one. And I think it's fair to say that his approach during those strikeouts is exactly the things that have been problematic. Now, there was one of the strikeouts where he laid off the exact pitch that the Cardinals want him to lay off, and he got a really bad call from the umpire. That's fair. You can't really do anything about that, but it just jumped out to me that that some of those looked like the exact at bats the Cardinals do not want to see from him, and are not showing the little things that John Mozeliak directly said we need to start seeing from these players.
I want to take you back a decade.
Oh, please do.
I'll take you back a decade.
I was 23. I was an idiot.
Yeah, 4 strikeouts in those.
In these last 2 games, he has 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, so 4 games in 2 strikeouts, 0 for 9, and 4 strikeouts. Over the course, yeah.
I know. It's again.
That was May 12th and 13th, by the way, of 2005.
That's
20 years.
I know. It's focusing on little things, but it's for me. It's just the approach at the plate is the thing we keep seeing. Is the problems aren't changing, I guess, and it's not only these 2 games where the problems have been there. That I think would be overreaching. It's just simply that we're not seeing the progression from him. And that's all I want to see. I don't need to see hard numbers. I don't care if he would have gone, if he goes 1 for 5, as long as you see the approach at the plate, what you want to see. And my point is that in those at-bats, you're not seeing the approach at the plate.
And my question is, has your patience reached the point where on his 23rd birthday, you want to move him today?
Not at all. Not at all. Not in the slightest bit. It was just more of an update, just kind of keeping pace with the guy. Yeah, that's all it was. So, I just wanted to bring it up because it's something that I jumped out to because, and yes, we're foolish that a 1-hit game in a 6-run win is something that we're like, okay, hey, let's take this Jordan Walker thing and let's see what he's got. Let's see if he can add to it. It's probably dumb that we do that, but that's kind of what we're left to do when all the other young hitters for the most part are hitting right now. Yes, it's picking at nits, but it's also, I think, a nit that the Cardinals are probably looking at too.
I hate picking at nits.
I
just think it's gross.
That's fair.
It is. How about Andre Pallante yesterday? Andre Pallante is he didn't have his best outing, but you know what? You still, if a guy gives you 5 1/3 and 3 runs in 2025, that's a chance to win the game. And I know that you had put some numbers together about him being better in May, and he was arguably the Cardinals' best starting pitcher last year. I don't worry about Pallante. Do I look at him as a future number one? No. But do I feel confident in him being a 3, 4, 5 down the road? Yeah, I think he can be a major league pitcher with his stuff and the way he utilizes that stuff. I think he can be a middle of the rotation guy for a long time in baseball.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. And the numbers I put out there, it was more just to show, because he was so strong right off the bat in the season. I think people were focusing on that. If you look at his numbers, because there's earned runs in all his starts, and things, there's walks, there's home runs, there's little things here and there. It's a cluttered box score, but if you break things down, there are just some numbers that jump out to me. Again, he allowed, after allowing 14 extra base hits across April and March, those 5-6 starts, he's allowed just 6 in his 4 starts here in May. That's led to an OPS drop of 60 points, an OPS plus, a slugging percentage drop of 60 points in his last month. In the OPS he's allowing is dropped by 0.37. His strikeout and walk rate is stabilized. The big thing for me is you look at his BABIP. His career BABIP is right where it should be.
Explain BABIP.
It's at 300. So it's batting average, balls in play. So essentially, it's you take away you're trying to isolate the luck factor and the defense behind a pitcher, because as soon as the pitcher throws the ball, he no longer has control of the play anymore. So if the defense behind him isn't getting to the balls in play that they should be getting to, then that'll change things. 300 is league average for BABIP. In April and March, his BABIP was 242, which means he was getting crazy good luck behind him. Everything that should have been getting caught, plus the things that shouldn't be, were getting cut out. And he put up the numbers he did, 4.13 ERA. The fact that he has a 307 BABIP in May shows you that the fact that some of his numbers have spiked a little bit, batting average, ERA, and on-base percentage, little teeny spikes. The fact that those have gone up is a regression towards the mean. And the fact that every other tertiary number is going down shows you that even though the numbers don't look like it, Andre Pallante has actually improved across May from what he gave us in April and March. And that's extremely positive to see if you're the Cardinals.
Do you know who the greatest BABIP pitcher of all time was?
That's a very good question. I do not.
His name was Eddie Feigner, and he was a fast-pitch softball pitcher who would barnstorm, travel all around the country, the United States of America. And what he would do is tell his fielders to just sit down because he struck everybody out. And so he didn't need fielders, and that's basically what BABIP is all about. Don't worry about fielders. And so if you have Eddie Feigner on your team, you don't need to worry about BABIP because there is no ball in play.
I love that. By the way, you see it on the bottom. We have been opening today's show, not just on Twitter, not just on YouTube like we usually are, but we also have been broadcasting live on Sports Hub STL on Facebook and Twitter. But we're cutting it off. If you're on Facebook and Twitter right now, you got to go to the YouTube to watch the rest of the show. The Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley. Without Brooke Grimsley today, we'll continue on YouTube only. So click the link on Facebook and Twitter to keep watching the show the entire rest of the morning. We got another hour and 10 minutes or so of the show. There's plenty of people right now watching on Facebook and Twitter. So make sure you jump over to the YouTube to keep on watching the Randy Karraker Show on Sports Hub STL.
Chris Roycroft with another rough outing. Chris Roycroft is the 7 up, 7 down guy for the Cardinals. Okay. He should not be pitching in leverage situations, right? He allows a run for the second straight appearance. His ERA is up to 7.20. You have a 13-man pitching staff, and in theory, he should be your 13th pitcher. And yeah. I think the Cardinals right now are in a position. They like him a lot, and he has ability, and I think they want to work with him at this level. But I just wonder, we all wonder how far down the line the Cardinals go with certain people. There are other players that the Cardinals have that they could utilize rather than Chris Roycroft. And Graceffo had thrown a couple of days earlier. This is not an overtaxed bullpen by any stretch of the imagination. And I think Roycroft right now is 13 of 13. And I wonder at what point they send him back down and just let him work and see if he can work through this stuff. There's a lot of guys. You can bring Ryan Fernandez up. You could bring up Rodri Munoz. He's been here a couple of times already. Riley O'Brien is still a guy that they can take a look at. There's a bunch of guys that they can they can bring up. Matt Svanson, and just let Roycroft try to figure it out down there.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Perfectly. 7.2 ERA, 7 up, 7 down guy. Kind of fits, kind of locks you right in there. He's just you thought he might have been a guy that you could bring in situational moments, but he's clearly just we need an inning right now, and don't completely blow this for us.
Yeah, and by the way, 7 up, 7 down is Tony called Brad Thompson his 7 up pitcher. You pitched him when you're 7 up or 7 down, but you don't pitch him in any leverage situations. So that's what we're talking about when he's the 7 up, 7 down guy. And you need a guy like that. And one of the reasons that a guy like that doesn't get opportunities now, obviously, is because you hate to hear it, some of you, but the Cardinals starting pitching has been so good, they haven't had to put the bullpen in a situation where they were 7 down, and they had a couple of blowouts. But as we mentioned at the top of the show, first time in 18 games that they had lost by more than 1 run. So the bullpen has been used almost exclusively in leverage situations so far in May,
and it's succeeded. I mean, that's intense when you have a bullpen that in those moments you can actually get the outs. That's the big difference. There's a lot of guys you can just throw. We just saw the Lumberjack do so. But to know you can actually lock things down and have a plan and know if we follow this plan, we'll take this team down. I imagine that the confidence we've talked about, the Cardinals having it, a lot of it is the fact that if they go down 2-0, they know that the offense can get them close again. But the other side of the coin is you have to have the confidence that if the offense is going to get us 2 or 3 runs, the staff isn't going to just immediately surrender it. So it's the combination of those factors. That's why we're seeing such a more confident team in so many people's approximation of the Cardinals so far.
All right, let's look at the division a little bit, because we are at Memorial Day weekend, basically, and that's the first benchmark of the season. For me, I do Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. Those historically have been 3 pretty telling times in the baseball season. Not as much now with basically everybody making the playoffs, and what the Cardinals have done a couple of times, especially when they won in 2006 and when they won in 2011. But here we are essentially at Memorial Day weekend. The Cardinals are 3 games behind the Cubs, and they still have not seen the Chicago Cubs. I'll be interested to see, once those 2 teams play, what that looks like. I think the Cubs are good, but I don't know that they're substantially better than the Cardinals are. And by the way, these 2 teams don't play until June 24th, 25th, and 26th here in St. Louis. I don't know. I know Chicago's good, but I don't know if they're way better than the Cardinals are. I don't think they are.
I don't think so either. I guess my question would be, do you think they have a higher ceiling than the Cardinals this season? And I think that would, and I think that would be the better question.
If the Cubs go out and replace Justin Steele somehow, I think so. But right now, and performance is different than names, but I don't love the names. And Managa is hurt for them right now. They've got Matthew Boyd, they've got Tyone, they've got Colin Ray, and they've got Ben Brown in their rotation. It's just not an overwhelming rotation in Chicago. They're getting amazing work, though, out of their position players. And I'll be interested to see if Carson Kelly can keep it up for the whole season. Is Pete Crow Armstrong, has he really arrived and turned? Is he now a superstar? He's playing like it. Michael Busch has been really good for them at times at first base. For the season, he hasn't been dominant. 259, 7 homers, 27 RBIs, 832 OPS, but he's been up more than down. I look at their team, and I wonder if by the time we get to the All-Star break, by the time we get to the trade deadline, if the Cardinals might be as good as they are.
That's fair. And the 2 ones that jump out to me is Carson Kelly's not going to continue being 1,000 OPS, 183 OPS plus player. That just because his career OPS before this season was, let's see here.
It wasn't 1,000.
It was 91, and actually that's including this season, so it was probably a little bit lower.
OPS plus.
Yeah, so he was 9% worse than the average than an average MLB hitter coming into this season. Dansby Swanson in his career about 9% worse than an average hitter. His OPS plus this year 121, 21% above hitters. Yes, they have a killer outfield in lineup with Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong, Tucker, and then Seihei Suzuki. but I'm not buying into their ability for this infield to continue pacing them. The one person I will say, Michael Busch is legitimately solid bat, and if he just keeps getting better as a late bloomer in baseball, that wouldn't surprise me.
And by the way, Pete Crow Armstrong, 866 OPS, 12 homers, 39 RBIs. He can run. He's having an absolutely fantastic season, and he might be he might turn out to be that great all-around player that they thought they were getting. I think in the Baez, when they said have Javi Baez to the Mets, and Pete Crow Armstrong was a really good prospect. By the way, he's also got 14 stolen bases. So 12 homers, 39 RBIs, 14 stolen bases, and an 866 OPS. And he's playing Gold Glove defense.
Yeah, he's legitimate.
That's Pete Crow Armstrong.
That outfield's legitimate, but I'm not buying the overall lineup. At the same time, you could, if you were outside looking in at the Cardinals, I'm sure you'd probably look at the numbers for Ivan Herrera, Mason Wynn, Victor Scott, and say the exact same things.
And at least
about projecting them.
At least with the Cubs guys, we know who they are. Yeah, nobody in America knows who the Cardinals guys are. I mean, aside from Nolan Arenado, people around the country, I guarantee you that you ask baseball fans, maybe 25% would know who Mason Wynn is. Very few would know who Brendan Donovan is. They know Wilson Contreras. You know why? Because he was a Cub. But the outfield, nobody knows who. I'm not going to say nobody, but Jordan Walker's a prospect. He's not somebody that casual fans pay attention to. Victor Scott II, no. Lars Nootbaar, no. The Cardinals do not have a name brand group, even though they're performing really well until you get into the postseason, until you have guys showing up in all-star games. People don't know who they are.
I think it's because they play in St. Louis and the Cubs play in Chicago.
Well, that helps too. Yeah, that makes it.
Or do you think it's because St. Louisans like Greg Amsinger say their favorite player is a Cub? Is that the issue? Maybe that's the problem.
But here's the thing: if you went back to 2000 to 2015 and asked people outside of 2003 and 2003, even because they had Pryor and Wood, right? But everybody knew who Roland, Renteria, Pujols, Edmonds,
and
Reggie
I'm just
Sanders, the Larry Walker, Matt Holliday, Yachty.
Randy,
every baseball fan in America knew who those guys were.
I know.
It didn't matter. The market size didn't matter.
I know, but this region doesn't have a lot going for it, but we do produce a lot of broadcasters, which means Cardinals propaganda. And so if we're going to fail in that aspect, if guys like Greg Amsinger aren't going to just completely uncalled for levels of glaze Mason Wynn and Victor Scott II on national television, I mean, I guess we got to get more people going. We got to get more of these, where's Costas? We got to get more. We got to get more.
Retired. Costas and Buck are both not doing baseball anymore.
All right. We got to get more people.
So we got Greg Amsinger, and that's all we got going for us. I don't think, I don't think the guy that does Seattle is talking much Cardinal baseball.
Yeah, we got to get more of the propagandists out there.
Samuel Howe, KC fans were getting upset that I said Brendan Donovan has a chance to win the batting title. He does have a chance to win the batting title. I don't know why they would get upset about that. Their guy has a chance to win a batting title too. Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud. Brendan Donovan is a really, really good player. And that's, like we said, another guy that isn't nationally known. Maybe he'll make an all-star team and people will get to know him because in addition to being a really good player, Brendan Donovan is a good guy. Treehouse and Cubs will definitely be buyers if we take the series in June. I'll be interested to see if their owner, Ted Cruz, allows them to be buyers. Because remember, a couple of years ago, it went just right over his head, didn't it? Several years ago during the pandemic, their owner said that they had biblical losses. Okay, here's what you got to do. We're all on computers here, aren't we? Just Google, and you can even do an image search. Tom Ricketts, okay, that's the Cubs owner. Ted Cruz. Just Google those, and then put it on images, and you got it. You're golden. That's all you need to do. They're twins. They're separated at birth. Tom Ricketts, you see him?
I did. It's ridiculous.
So the Cubs owner is Ted Cruz. So here you need to know this. Ted Cruz had President Kennedy.
Randy, you can't say that.
Didn't they just release?
Unless you plan on winning the presidency yourself here in a couple of years, you cannot say that.
So these two guys look exactly alike. So anyway, that's why I said Cubs owner Ted Cruz, if you're not aware. So now you know via podcast.
I had a comment for Samuel Howe. You're talking about the KC fans here.
KC fans. Yeah,
you've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land.
The
common clay of the New West. Morons.
Oh no. Samuel Howe for the Cubs fans. When Kyle Tucker walks, will it be soul crushing? The Yankees are going to sign Kyle Tucker, aren't they? They lost Juan Soto. They need a right fielder because Judge can move back to center. And Kyle Tucker will be a great fit in NYC.
So wait, how are the Yankees going to – so they're going to add Kyle Tucker and Nolan Arenado?
I don't think Nolan's going there. Do you think he would accept that?
I just think that was immediately going to be what the next 5 chats are going to be from people. Is that the Yankees need to be saving spots and money for good old Nolan Arenado.
Okay.
Jason Gordon has them going. He has him chasing money out west, not east.
Who has Tucker?
I think the Dodgers signed Tucker, whereas Samuel Howe has Arenado being a West Coast boy with the Dodgers.
Okay, so if you are Brian Cashman, or even if you're Andrew Friedman, do you go to your ownership and say, you know what, I want to get this guy who's going to make $25 million next year. He's going to make $15 million in 2027, which is nothing for the Dodgers and something for the Yankees. But the owner's going to say, how's he doing? And so Hal Steinbrenner or Mark Walter is going to say, how's he doing? And the general manager is going to say, well, he wasn't great last year, but this month, he's hitting .239, got a couple of homers and 8 RBIs, and has a .614 OPS.
That's not that bad.
He is okay. He's not hot, but in the first month of the season, he had 3 homers and 13 RBIs and had a .747 OPS. I don't know that you want to give up, and I don't think you have to give up many assets to get him, but do you want to take him on, Arenado, if you're a good contending team, when he has been in a precipitous state of decline?
Probably not. Mainly because I guess, do you think any of these teams that the difference between Kyle Tucker being a right fielder and Nolan Arenado playing still a very good third base shifts any discussion?
Kyle Tucker's right there with Soto. Kyle Tucker is a stud.
I'm not chiding his defense at its position. I'm just simply talking about the importance of defense at that position and the availability of high quality defenders at that position.
Yeah,
there's just a larger group of corner outfielders who can play Gold Glove defense and they're a third baseman, right?
Here's the thing at third. It's great to have a great defensive third baseman. You don't need one to win a World Series.
And the crazy thing is, history would tell you that's very true.
I mean, didn't you have Justin Turner winning World Series? Well, Muncy won a World Series obviously last year. He's not a stud defensively. It's nice to have it.
It's a good point.
But you don't have to have it to win World Series.
The lack of third baseman being such a light position in the Hall of Fame has always baffled me. It's always been something that no one's ever had give me a clear explanation for why or what it is, but it's always been something that in my brain, whenever I think about baseball, my one of the first questions my brain goes to is, why are there so few third basemen in the Hall of Fame? It's always been odd to me.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird conundrum. By the way, OPS for third baseman in the national or in the major leagues, I'm going to give you that number right now. The Cardinals' third base OPS is not as bad as I thought, actually. Okay, so actually they're 8th. Cardinals have the 8th highest. So maybe you do that because let's see if we can find a contender. Actually, not teams that are not in the race are not getting great production out of the third base position. Yankees have I'm sorry, I'm wrong here. Boston leads in production at third base with Bregman. The Cardinals are 10th with their 720 OPS out of third base. Yeah.
This is interesting.
Doyers are second at 8. No, they aren't. Okay, I messed up here.
I don't know how connected this is, but I will say right now, right field is the most is the most productive position in baseball right now. 747 OPS and a 424 slugging percentage are the highest marks for a positional group in baseball this year. Right fielders.
Interesting.
So you're getting a lot of bang for you're getting a lot of power out of that spot, and obviously Kyle Tucker gives you that.
Yeah. And so next year somebody will have him. I just want to throw this out there. So people are saying Arenado to the Yankees, right? Right now, the Yankees are in a horrible situation at third base. DJ LeMahieu is playing a lot. They lost Cabrera. For the season, the Yankees have a third base OPS that is Dodgers are at 692. Not great. Yankees are at 551.
Holy
so
crap.
Maybe both of those teams would be interested in upgrading, but the Cardinals are only 10th at 720. Matt Chapman, better. Austin Riley, better. Josh Jung, better. Eugenio Suarez, better. Kansas City, San Diego, Manny, Houston, Cleveland, and Boston all have better third base OPSs. So maybe there will be something there. Maybe I misspoke there earlier. But the Cardinals, I'm sure if they were going to do that, number one, I think they kind of have to fall more out of the race. And I think the other part of it would be they'd have to get him to agree.
Yeah, I think you're right about that one. I think we did a good job of heading off at the pass, because I'm not trying to sell Arenado, and the whole buy sell discussion is completely different. I just know that the way that fans have been this year, you say the phrase sell Arenado and people jump in and immediately it's Yankees or Dodgers. Yeah. Which I guess part of the reason is like who's got the money.
Yeah, the Red Sox aren't going to do it now.
Yep.
Houston's probably not going to do it now.
And Arenado already said no.
Yeah. And probably not Philly. Angels, so probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Hey, I'm going to go to lunch at the Fenton Barn Grill today, and I am excited about it because you're going to see in a second, they have the greatest trashed wings that you will ever see. The Fenton Barn Grill's trashed wings are delicious.
Want to see them soused?
Yeah, well, I like either getting that signature golden sauce, but I'm a big fan of the ranch on my Fenton Barn Grill trashed wings. You can go either way, and there is that golden sauce. It's fantastic. But there's so much to love at the Fenton Barn Grill. If you like those breaded spicy cheese curds, they have those during their happy hour in the afternoon. Those are sensational. They have a delicious and fresh Southwest salad. They have an incredible group of wraps that I really like. I've told you I like the chicken Caesar wrap a lot. Fantastic, juicy burgers. And try that French dip sandwich, too. Get a little roast beef with au jus. It is absolutely delicious at the Fenton Barn Grill. I don't know why their tots are so great, but I always like to get tots on the side, too. Their toasted rab, you see it there. And great drinks. Beer specials for $2. You can watch the Cardinal game. You can watch the hockey and basketball games. And you're going to run into a great crowd there. The people at the Fenton Barn Grill are what makes it. It is the dive with a vibe. It's the Fenton Barn Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton, and I hope you'll join me there for lunch today, just 2 minutes away from the soccer park. Stop by and say hi to the 2024 Maitre d' of the Year here in St. Louis, Chuck, and when you see him, tell him Randy sent you. Oh, and you know what? You need to be sure you are signed up to receive the Sports Hub STL newsletter, too. It goes out today, and in there you're going to find out how you can win a pair of tickets to the Cardinals game Saturday against the Diamondbacks. Sign up now at sportshubstl.com. That's right, we've got free Cardinal tickets for you by going to sportshubstl.com, and you can find out how to sign up. And starting Monday, actually Tuesday, because we're off on Monday for Memorial Day, you'll be able to hear the Randy Karraker Show wherever you get your podcasts. Audio uploaded once the show ends every single day. The Randy Karraker Show will be available to you on every podcast platform that you can think of. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're looking forward to that, and we hope you'll join us every day on the Randy Karraker Show. All right, Matthew, sad news yesterday out of Indianapolis. The owner of the Indianapolis Colts, a huge music fan, a guy that led a very interesting life. Robert Irsay's son, by the way, Jim Irsay, passed away at the age of 65. He had a lot of miles on his body. He went through a lot. There's the release that the Indianapolis Colts turned out. We are devastated to announce that our beloved owner and CEO, Jim Irsay, passed away peacefully in his sleep this afternoon. So clearly, he wasn't at the owners' meeting. So who was voting for the tush push for the Indianapolis Colts?
God, I hate that you're making this joke, because
it's not a joke.
The thought process literally crossed my mind, because we're going to talk about the reporting from the owners' meeting for the tush push. And yes, my exact thought process was, who was there.
Who was?
God,
I mean,
that's why your comments after these moments, I can never completely like disavow them, because there's so much truth in them. You're 100% right. I thought about it too. I couldn't help myself.
There you go. And I'm sure you thought about it too.
Yes, you did.
Use the chat line to talk about this. But a couple of things about Jimmy Irsay. Number one, remember when, if you've ever seen the documentaries, and I don't know if it was serious, if they were actually, there he is with Peyton Manning when they drafted Peyton Manning. But they appeared to have a debate between Manning and Leaf. At least Bill Polian, their president, was thinking that. And he came into the office, I think the day before the draft, and said, "Hey, what do you guys think of Ryan Leaf?" And his guys said, "Are you serious? Come on." So he was fortunate that Jim Irsay was, that he had good people, and they got Peyton Manning. And then the year Peyton Manning got hurt and they were terrible, they had the first pick in the draft and they got Andrew Luck. He had a tremendous amount of luck, not just the player, but as an owner, because I think that overall, aside from Manning and Luck, that Jimmy Irsay was as incompetent as any owner there was. And RIP, but I'm just trying to point out a fact here that he did not do a very good job as an owner. He just kind of fell into a couple of things.
Yeah, he had some things fall his way. I also thought it was interesting. Pat McAfee and a lot of former Colts players, Marvin Harrison Sr., all respect, Tony Dungy, a lot of former Colts players putting out thoughts about Jim Irsay. The funniest one to me though was Pat McAfee, which a lot of great stories, a lot of comments about his drive for charity. That he got his players involved with Parks and Rec. They did that. They did a couple of cameos on that show. He loved doing the Twitter giveaways. He truly did seem like the kind of way that a lot of us, that if we found ourselves with $400 million in the bank, how we would spend our everyday lives and how we would spend our money, both for the good and the bad. I think we can all admit that we would probably be closer to Jim Irsay than a lot of the other millionaires that we see every day. 100%. I would do a lot of the good and the bad things. I'd donate a lot, and I'd probably make a lot of dumb mistakes that would get out to the public, just like Jim Irsay did. But I thought it was funny that one of the things that Pat McAfee pointed out is that he was the youngest GM in NFL history at 24. And I was like, shouldn't that have a little bit of an asterisk?
Maybe, yeah, because he was the owner's son.
Because he was the owner's son?
Yeah.
It's impressive that he did the job and so on and so forth. But if you're the owner's son, I don't know if we can give you credit for breaking the glass ceiling exactly.
Yeah, not really. So there's also, Jim Irsay was a huge music fan.
Yes.
And there's actually a Jim Irsay kind of a music museum in India. It's called the Jim Irsay Collection. And he's got all kinds of guitars and all kinds of cool musical, historical, and pop culture things at this museum in Indianapolis. It's really cool.
You can be an owner of a professional team who loves music and not be terrible at your job, like reprehensibly bad at your job.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's true.
I wonder if a certain Indiana versus New York matchup maybe learned that lesson last night.
I don't know. I wanted to make one more point about Jimmy Irsay, though. He allowed his management group, as we mentioned with the Manning situation, to take the guys that they wanted to take. And right before Manning in 1996, they had taken, as Matthew mentioned, Marvin Harrison, and they didn't know how he was going to do, but Marvin Harrison just absolutely killed it when he got to actually after he left the Colts.
Do you ever think Irsay ever wondered, like, after like 2005, like, guys, listen, I love what you're doing. I trust everything you're doing. But last time we took a wide receiver early in the draft, it worked out pretty well for us. Maybe we should do that again instead of waiting for guys like Austin Collie to catch 85 balls. Maybe we should keep getting Reggie Waynes out of the University of Miami and Marvin Harrison's instead of, waiting for Brandon Stokely to really develop.
Yeah, might have been a good idea.
It's like, you got to trust your football guys. But I just wonder if at a point you were like, guys, we have Peyton Manning. Why are we just digging through the fourth round heap for guys? We are not the Patriots.
Well, because he made him better.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and you wonder what was, because he was a huge figure. Jimmy Irsay, his dad brought the Colts to Indianapolis from Baltimore, but Jimmy Irsay had as much to do with that as Robert Irsay did. Robert Irsay was the head, but the person who actually kind of facilitated the move was Jimmy Irsay, and so he was a big deal in Indianapolis. But I have a feeling that nobody is thinking about Jimmy Irsay in Indianapolis this morning because of what happened last night.
Fair to say.
if you're one of those people that doesn't watch the NBA just because you have a problem with it, please change for us. And I'm a guy that I watch some during the season. I don't watch a ton of NBA, but man, if you watch that Knicks Pacers game to the end last night, that was as good as sports gets. That was just so much fun. Teams that had been down by 9 or more points in the playoffs in the final minute of regulation or overtime since 1998 were 0 and 1,414. Again, teams that trailed by 9+ points in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game were 0 and 1,414 since 1998 entering yesterday. Now they're 1 and 1,414.
Bunch of those stats running around. Another one for last night. Teams leading by 14 with 2:45 left to play in the fourth quarter of an NBA game since 1997 had never lost in 994 instances. 0 and 994. Now it's 1 and 994. And this is crazy. This one, I honestly might be the most insane one. Since 1997, when a team is trailing by 7 or more in the final minute of fourth quarter or the overtime in playoffs, teams before this playoff began, teams were 1 and 1,650. Teams are now 4 and 1,650 because the Pacers have done it 3 times this playoffs. They were down 118-111 with 40 seconds left in overtime of Game 5 against Milwaukee. That's the game where Halliburton beats Giannis off the dribble to hit the game winner in the playoffs and finish the series with a 4-1 victory. That's one. Number 2, down 119-112 with 57 1/10 left in fourth quarter of Game 2 versus the Cavaliers. Who else but Tyrese Halliburton hits a game-winning step-back 3 to take a 2-0 lead in that series. And then last night, down 123-115 with 41.1 left in the fourth quarter, Halliburton ties the game with an absolutely insane long 2. Randy, I have the screenshot up right close. Now. And what you can see here is I'm gonna get it up to our most zoomed version of it. If you can see here right now, Randy, I'm gonna get rid of the overlay so everyone can see this screenshot. The ball is not in the frame of this shot because the ball has hit the back iron and gone so high up before falling in that this frame is not the top of my screen has not been cropped. The ball traveled outside of the frame of the cameras before then falling in, tying the game, sending it to overtime. We then get another iconic moment from Tyrese Halliburton because after he hits the shot, he puts up the choke sign. And listen, for some of you old heads, some of you New York Knicks fans, that may look just a tad bit familiar. And luckily, if they hadn't closed things out in overtime, that would have been one of the worst impromptu moments because he does it because he thinks he hits the game-winning 3, foot's on the line, game-winning 2, we got to go to overtime. With that said, though, as Reggie Miller really sends out the moments last night at the end of the game, it all goes through just one of the greatest nights of basketball I've ever seen.
It was fantastic. Aaron Nesmith with 4 3-pointers in the last 2.5 minutes. He went 8 of 9 from 3-point land. And right before this choke motion, Halliburton, remember Isaiah Likely at the end of the opener of the NFL season? His foot was a half inch across the line. That's where Tyrese Halliburton's foot was. It was almost a 3-pointer to win the game. Then they go to overtime, and the Pacers just keep rolling out, score the Knicks 13-10 in OT, and win the game 138-135. I don't believe that the momentum generated from last night is going to benefit the Pacers an awful lot. I would think that the Knicks will storm out of the gate. They admitted last night that they took their foot off the gas, and I think this series has a really good chance to go 7, and I would be kind of surprised if the Knicks didn't win tomorrow night.
Yeah, give me 6 more of those. That was absolutely fantastic. It was a crazy game. They were really trading punches. It wasn't until late that the Knicks started to pull away. But I mean, Jalen Brunson is fantastic. Just what he's able to do on a play-by-play basis is incredible. And again, I've talked before about I just love this Pacers build. They weren't fake last year. They're certainly not fake this year. I hope this goes 7 because it's been a lot of fun already.
All right. And the cardiac arrest pacer makers. I like that, Samuel Howe. Thank you very much. Hockey Dad Don, That's a stat drop. Yeah, we dropped some stats on you right there, didn't we? 0 and 1,414. Just remember that number. Yeah.
Speaking of cardiac arrest, do you think there's somebody in Edmonton who wishes they would have dropped dead at the beginning of the third period?
Oh, man. How about the Dallas Stars? They come out and they score 5 third-period goals to win Game 1 against Edmonton 6-3. Edmonton up 3-1 heading into the third. 4 consecutive goals, none of them by Mikko Rantanen. And then they scored an empty net or two. And the Stars are really, really good. But and by the way, 3 of the 3 consecutive of those Dallas goals were on the power play. So a little bit of blame to go to the Edmonton Oilers too. But Edmonton had that one. I mean, in the NHL, especially in the playoffs. Okay, not us, but when you're up in the third period, you're supposed to win.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. And a really fun thing is if you know Paul Bissonnette, who's on Spit and Chicklets, does stuff with Barstool, Toronto Maple Leafs fan, Toronto guy, but he's obviously back in the Canadian team now, and he's pumping his chest with they're up 3-1. He's pumping his chest in a live stream as they're watching the game, and they put out a smash cut late last night, this morning, of his reactions as it slowly falls apart in front of him. And God, there's something about sports that it's the worst thing and the best thing because of those moments. And it was tough to watch it, but it was kind of fun. I think because he's not like a diehard like Oilers fan who's going to cry after last night. God, I would be talk about momentum. It's got to be tough to be an Oilers player, leading 3-1, and just now you have to wake up this morning like we were down 1-0 instead of having this thing, still in our hands.
And the difference in hockey is that the Stars, that momentum will carry over. They're at home, and so they'll come out flying tomorrow night. And if they get a lead with Ottinger, they're probably going to hang on to it. They've got a good defense. I heard an interesting comment from Daryl Sutter, and it's in print, so I didn't hear it. I read it, but he said, we don't play defense in the NHL anymore. If you're playing in your defensive zone and you have the puck in your defensive zone, you're in trouble. The way you play defense now in the NHL is to have puck possession in the offensive zone. The way the Blues won the Stanley Cup. And he's got a great point because the offenses are so good now. If you are trying to play defense in the defensive zone, like against Draisaitl and McDavid, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think so. And just teams are too good. The puck passing, it's now, tape to tape used to be like a legitimate description of a team in the NHL that's like on their game. Now it's just, if you're not tape to tape, what that's standard now. You better be able just to run that game that way. And so it's 100%. Yeah, it's teams get too good. It's why I think a few years ago, I see a few years ago, it was like 2016 now, come to think of it, when they made the goalie pads bigger.
Yeah.
God, that was like 8 years ago now. Holy crap. Time goes by really fast. So you got to kind of mitigate those things. And I think that's a really good point by, was that Suter who said that?
Yeah, Daryl Sutter.
Excuse me.
One of the 6 Sutter brothers.
Yeah, one of the 6. Somehow
Brent, Brian, Daryl, Richie, Ronnie. Brent, Brian, Daryl, Richie, Ronnie. Dwayne. Those are the 6. And then nephews and sons and all of that stuff.
I say Bruce. To say it correctly, I have to say Bruce Suter's name, and then tell my brain to say I have to go Bruce Suter. So the other one is Sutter. Like that. Literally every time I have to say one of those names, that's my brain has to do that little piece of gymnastics because it's just I wasn't alive, and so I wasn't alive in the moment, and so I know them. I know they are separate people. I know facts about the families in person differently, and yet I still have to do like a little left right thing, like I'm 12 years old all over again every time. So
I'm doing my DraftKings pick 6 right now. Tonight you've got game 2 between the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes, and Sergei Bobrovsky is at an over/under of 26.5 saves. I believe because he did the other night, I think that he'll have more than 26.5 saves. And then I'm going to go for, I'm such a fan of Matthew Tkachuk, and I think he's going to score because he didn't score in the opener. So I'm going to take Matthew Tkachuk to score more than 1/2 of a goal. And that will be my prediction for DraftKings pick 6. And DraftKings pick 6 is awesome. If you think of it from a baseball standpoint, as your fastball right down the middle, you can hit it right out of the park. And all you need to do is select 2 players like I did, up to 6 players, and see if they'll have more or less of a stat. And if your predictions prove right, then you are going to get a bunch of money out of it. Pick Six is available right here in the state of Missouri, also in Georgia and California and Texas and more. Cash in your knowledge of sports. New players get $50 back in Pick Six credits instantly on just a $5 entry. It's a lot of fun to play. It'll change the way that you watch sports. It's DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
So one of the great things about being a Blues fan for the last decade or so, a little less than a decade, is the ineptness of the Chicago Blackhawks, and that apparently will continue. You just gave me some good news here.
Yeah, you're more tied in. Former Detroit Red Wings head coach, and most recently, of course, a assistant on the Tampa Bay Lightning staff,
Jeff Blashill.
Jeff Blashill has been named or apparently is finalizing a deal to be the next head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm guessing was he like the beginning of the downturn for the Red Wings?
Oh, there were a lot of downturns for the Red Wings, but he was part of it.
Okay.
So yeah, he didn't do a great job.
Yes, after he took over the Red Wings in 15-16, they made the playoffs in his first year, lost in the first round, and then they would miss the playoffs the next 6 seasons that he was their coach. They gave him 6 seasons?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Oh my God.
And they asked him to help young players advance into playoff type players like Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond and those guys. And yeah, it didn't really work out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He was,
bad.
In fairness, he was in their system forever. He had been the head coach of the Grand Rapids Griffins, who are their AHL affiliate.
Mm-hmm.
He had been their head coach for them the 3 years prior to taking over for the Red Wings. But it's crazy that they make the playoffs in year one. Clearly not his roster, clearly not his group. They lose in a gentleman's sweep in the first round, and then they never win more than 33 games the rest of his time there and miss the playoffs every other season. That's nuts.
And if you look at this season, particularly, he got let go last year, right? Or was it this season? No, Derek Lalonde was their coach of the season. But they were 13, 17, and 4. Then they hire a legit coach in Todd McClellan, and they go 26, 18, and 4. Man, coaching makes a difference in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
I'm glad that the Blackhawks have hired Jeff Blashill as their new head coach. All right, you were at the City game last night, and things are not looking good for St. Louis City SC. To give you an idea, they don't lead very often. They were down 1-0. They get goals from Klaus scored the second one,
and Hartle, who had
Hartle scored the first. Right, and so they have a 2-1 lead in the 65th minute, and they hang on to it for about 20 minutes, but then Marcanic scores a pair for Minnesota in the 85th and 88th minutes, and that gives Minnesota the victory over St. Louis City SC. St. Louis City SC has not won in a long time. 12 now consecutive matches without a victory.
Well, they had the other
the Omaha.
Yeah, they had which, and this was an Open Cup one too.
It's
so
like beating Parkway North.
Yeah. Of first division teams, they have now gone winless in 11 straight. Pretty bad. Last night was another rough one just because of the situation as it happens. And of course, if you're like, hey, why do I know the name Anthony Marcanic if I'm only kind of like a casual City fan? It's Marcanic. Because Anthony Marcanic was on St. Louis City SC last season before they traded him away for a paltry amount of cash in August. And listen, some people are complaining about him because the St. Louis City SC is going through a little bit of a Cardinals thing right now, where a lot of the young players who weren't having success here have been traded away and are going to new teams and are having a lot of success. But as I said last night, listen, one of the things that people could not stop complaining about with the Cardinals was the Rosarena and Libertor trade, and we're just now figuring out what the actual thing is there. Why did I just get a thing from St. Louis City SC? Okay, never mind. I was just making sure it wasn't the thing. That would have been insane. So to have another player that was on this roster struggles, leaves, and now has this success, and he was playing well before, but to have this direct success, a brace is when you score 2 goals in a game.
Yep.
It's a European term. I don't know how much it's conveyed. He had never scored a brace in college, and he had never scored a brace in the pros. So for him to do that last night was certainly unexpected, certainly an extra level of heartbreaking, and just, I mean, Klaus gets a goal, big. They take him off the pitch, and it just seems like every time they take Klaus off the pitch this year, the team falls apart. Is that correlation equaling causation? I'm not 100% sure. He is a guy who gets involved not only in the offensive facet, he gets involved in the buildup, he gets involved in defense because he's tracking back and he's pressing. So this is the 4th straight game outside of the Omaha match. This is the 4th straight match against Division I teams or first division teams where they have allowed 2 goals in the last 30 minutes of the game. 4 straight matches.
Not good.
It's simply not good enough. And again, and just like their match earlier this week against Minnesota over the weekend, it was one of the very few games where they controlled possession and they had the ball more often in their opponent's half. But just like the weekend game, this is literally, you could have copy and pasted what I said Monday to right now, Randy. They had the ball more, and yet they had they had fewer touches in the most important parts of the field than Minnesota did, despite the fact that Minnesota let them have the ball. That is a broken offense.
And I would suggest, because this is a guy that as a player was a defender and has had a pretty solid career as a defensive coach, but when you are allowing a couple of goals in the last 5 minutes, or in this case, the last 3 minutes of regulation, 84 minutes, 86 and 88, right? 80 foot, whatever. Let's just say the last 5 minutes. You're supposed to have shutdown defense. You are supposed to win that game if you're St. Louis City SC and Olaf Melberg is your head coach.
Okay, and this is a little X's and O's nitty gritty, but I'm going to get into it really quick because to your point, you're right. You should be able to lock down games defensively, but there is also a mindset in soccer that there's 2 ways to kill a game. Either you lock down defensively or you push the other, because the other team has to be pushing for goals. So they're more exposed defensively. So the other opposite side is play more offensive yourself, get 1 more goal, and kill the match that way. And based on the subs last night, that was what Olaf Melberg and company were trying to do. They put in Xande Silva, who's an attacking player. They put him in for Chris Durkin, who's a defensive midfielder. They put in Thomas Ostrak, who is more of an offensive midfielder. They put him in for JGR, who's a defensive midfielder. They made a lot. They made 4 out of their 5 subs were players that were more offensive based than the player that they were replacing.
Okay.
So the idea then is we're up 2-1. We're going to go get the 3rd goal. We're going to win this game 3-1. Finish it, done.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens though is that on the 2nd goal that ties things up, Xande Silva, who again is an attacking player,
got him from Atlanta,
who subbed in for Chris Durkin, who's a defensive midfielder. Xande Silva turns the ball over in the midfield. Then Joey Zielinski is out of position on the right flank. They play a long ball to Anthony Markanek, who's able to outrun Joey Zielinski. It's not Zielinski's fault. He should have been in the game, I think, more often than he was. Not his fault. It's Xande Silva turning the ball up higher in the field that leads to that one. And in the second one, the game winner from Markanek, he raises up and wins a header on a set piece. Who does he beat on that header? Xande Silva, an offensive player who got subbed into the game to try to kill the game with offense and then got beat once defensively and once in the possession game. That is what I talked about on Monday again. Olaf Melberg failed to put his team in the best position to succeed. On the flip side, they lost. They failed to win the game against Sporting Kansas City at home after they took a 2-0 lead for the same reason. They made offensive subs when they could have made defensive subs. Now, I like the fact that the team apparently says we're going to kill games, not park the bus and try to win them. I like that mindset, but a lot of these subs are being forced because players are tired. And that is breaking, I think, the build and the formation and the scheme. And then things start falling apart. Things start falling through the cracks. They need to get these things fixed. He's got to be a better player manager, bottom line.
All right. So there you have it. That's the latest on St. Louis City SC. It has been a slog for City so far. Let's hope they can improve things here in the stretch run of the season.
We got a chat here from Zach Covey. He says, I'll never understand the curiosity of STL SC. They are never good. Cardinals and Blues are at least something to be hopeful for. I mean, curiosity, they're a professional team that's in their third year of operation in this city. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was born in 1991. So there was a while there in my life where the Hurricanes, the Texans, and the Winnipeg Jets were like the only three teams, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those are like, I saw like four teams like change or relocate or get added to leagues in like the first like 25 years of my life. Obviously, this stuff happened in the early 90s, which I wasn't there for, the Panthers, the Jaguars, all that crap. But anyhow, and so for me, seeing the expansion we've gotten in the NHL, and seeing and in St. Louis getting a soccer team with so much soccer history here, that's where the curiosity comes from. I don't take away the fact that they were successful in their first year. I think it makes a lot of sense why people are curious about a brand new pro team here in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are the soccer capital of America, for gosh sakes. So yeah, there should be interest. You know what else we should be interested in?
What?
Hot Shots being around for 35 years. Hot Shots is going to have a big 35-year anniversary party coming up on June 1st, and you need to check it out. You can get your picture taken with the Budweiser Clydesdales. That's pretty cool. It's the biggest party ever. It's an all-day celebration with food and drinks, music, and special guests. We had a chance to partake of some of those tacos from Hot Shots yesterday. They are delicious. Now, it starts at noon, goes till 6 on June 1st at the Hot Shots in St. Charles, right there on 94. They have outdoor food and drink tents. They're going to have adult carnival games benefiting the Wonderland Camp. They're going to have a retro car show, limited entries for that. And in addition to the Clydesdales being there, Rizzuto and Rafe from 105.7 The Point, the Riz Show are going to be there from 3 to 5. City SC players, Pompeo and Totland are going to be guest bartending from 4 to 6. Louis from the St. Louis Blues is going to be there. Get pictures taken with him at 3 o'clock. And Bushwhacker from the Ambush is also going to be on hand. They're going to have a darts tournament brought to you by Smirnoff. That starts at noon. At 2 o'clock, the Bags tournament brought to you by Una Vida. And then the taco eating contest hosted by Riz at 4 p.m. Grand prize there. Free tacos for a year at Hot Shots. Hourly customer prize giveaways all day long. Again, it goes from noon on, and it's all happening Sunday, June 1st. Come early, stay late, party like it's 1989. Full details at hotshotsnet.com. Don't miss this blowout celebration. Hot Shots turns 35, and you are invited.
It means my brother turned 35. I'm going to get him a present.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah, how about that?
Cool. I like that a lot. All right, Samuel Howe. Think St. Louis City will make it 35 years? I think so. Yeah. So the league, started? The league is
93?
Yeah, something like that.
95?
Yeah, so the league is about 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
95, 05, 15. Yeah, about 30 years old. So yeah, I think City will be around. I think soccer will be around. I think soccer will only get bigger in our country. So yeah, I think it'll be around.
World Cup's coming up. We got the World Cup in a year.
That's
Come
right,
on, people.
We do. 2026.
Get excited about it.
Get excited about the World Cup.
There's games in that town 4 hours from here.
Speaking of excitement, how about the tush push being preserved by NFL owners? It needed 24 votes from the owners to be banned. It got 22 to be banned. Might have had 23 had one team had
Randy
show up. I don't know.
I'm sure he had a representative. He wished the Pacers good luck in game 1.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's
and then
nice of him. And
then he went to bed.
Maybe he was looking over them. But anyway, I thought it was very interesting that in an owners meeting, Jason Kelsey, former Eagle, went there and said, look, I'm not concerned about getting hurt. I would come back if every play I could run was a tush push. I don't think I'm going to get hurt at all. So there was a great piece at ESPN.com. And Seth Wickersham, who always has inside sources for NFL owners meetings, did a great job. And Jason Kelsey called it a safe play, not something we need to worry about that much.
Yeah, I love that. The fact that Kelsey, there were some, it was a combination. Seth Wickersham did the write-up on ESPN. Jeremy Fowler was the one on the ground getting a lot of the quotes here because there's differing reports. One executive apparently said that he thought it was a fairly generic speech from Jason Kelsey. Another executive said he thought it was a very good speech, very moving, had a lot of good points, and might have changed the opinion of people who were there. I did cut out this thing that I thought was hilarious, which is that apparently Jeffrey Lurie spoke for an hour.
Mhm.
And at one point he said it was a win-win for the Eagles, adding that it was quote unquote like a wet dream for a teenage boy to create a play that was so successful that the only way for it to be stopped was for it to be banned. After Lurie finished speaking, Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent chastised the Eagles owner for the wet dream comment, specifically for saying it in front of women in the meeting.
Come on, Troy.
Here's my thing. I one of my favorite people to follow and one of the best follows in the history of the website on X is Amy Trask.
Mhm.
And she will be the first person to tell you that if you're a woman working in the NFL, that's one of the softest things you've heard in the last year of working in the NFL. People are going to say much worse around you because that's just the way people act. Wet dream is, come on, Troy Vincent, stop being so damn, like that's so light and wimpy. Who cares? The pettiness of this entire league, because you also had Jed York, who apparently at one point during Lurie's speech, when he was about almost an hour in, Jed York apparently said, "You got any more shit you want to whine about?"
I think that's good.
I just think there's just something about Jed York being so whiny to me himself. Like, you got it.
Hey,
what else do you have to do with your day, Jed?
You're sitting in a meeting and somebody talks and does a 1 hour monologue. You aren't going to get upset?
Not if I'm worth however much Jed York's worth.
You've got better things to do than listen to Jeffrey Lurie.
No, that's my point. He literally has nothing better to do. He has nothing. There's nothing.
He can go play golf.
Well, you're right. I guess he technically does, but it's not like there's anything holding him back from. Again, he's like, send an aid.
I don't care what meeting I'm sitting in. All right, there's
no reason to talk for an hour.
Once a guy goes on a 1 hour filibuster, he's got nothing left good to say. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who you are. There's nobody in this world that I could listen to, except for me, for more than an hour. You know, we like to use you guys, right? We use the chat. Jeffrey Lurie wasn't using chat on YouTube. He didn't have a co-host. Jeffrey Lurie was just BSing for an hour. And I would get tired of that too. I don't blame Jed York. And by the way, you guys know I hate Jarrah. Jarrah's the worst. But I don't have a problem with Jarrah being honest.
Yeah, Jerry Jones made a comment. He said he doesn't know if he's voting against the tush push because he thinks the rule is necessary, or it's because he doesn't like that the Eagles are good at the play.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
What's wrong with being honest? He's a total scumbag. We know that. He's a scoundrel. He's a bad guy.
Should I just be surprised that some of the richest men in America have the sensibilities of a 12-year-old?
No.
Okay.
No, especially him.
That's me. All right. Fine.
Yeah. But I don't have a problem with him saying, I really don't know if I just don't like the play or if I'm just upset that the Eagles are succeeding with said play. And I think there are probably fans that feel that way. He would feel completely different if his team ran that play really well.
100%.
Right? He'd say, yeah, we don't want to ban the tush push because that's how the Cowboys win. And it's and here's what it ultimately is. It's kind of like taking the shift away from baseball managers. When managers and coaches are creative, they should be allowed to express that creativity. And Nick Sirianni and the Eagles found a great play that's not against the rules and it doesn't hurt anybody. I believe, this is my own personal opinion, that if you have that ability that other people don't have to outcoach them, that should be celebrated rather than suppressed.
Damn right. 100%. You find a niche and you're able to abuse it until somebody else figures it out. Fine.
Yeah. Now that doesn't include taping people's defensive signals, right? Or their walkthroughs. I'm not advocating for that.
Nor does it. And listen, if the tush push was being used the way Jason Kelsey jokingly advocated it to be used, I actually would kind of have a problem with it, because then at that point you'd be cutting into the game's watchability factor.
Mm-hmm.
To that end. Whenever like the Vrabel Belichick thing where he screwed Belichick over with the timeout thing, I like when I'm okay with them closing those loopholes, because those things those are like some weird like game management thing from the sidelines. This is between the white lines, and so therefore I think that there's a sanctity of, if there's a strategy that's happening between the white lines, don't sanction it out of the league with a rule. Force people to game plan against it.
And I was surprised that there was some speculation that the Bills might be against it, because
Terry Pagula was apparently for it.
Yeah. So That's just really weird.
By the way, the Eagles' big point was also something we mentioned yesterday. Despite the fact that the Player Safety Commission was for the ban, the Eagles' big thing that they kept going around the room saying was, where are the numbers? There are no stats. No one's giving us the facts of why it should be banned by the Player Safety Group. And I love that the Eagles were asking that question, and it didn't look to me like they got an answer.
No, I don't think they did. A couple of other notes for you. Number one, there's reports out there that Jordan Hudson has told people that she is engaged to Bill Belichick.
I mean, Randy, the boat painting I thought was a pretty definitive thing.
I thought
that's
so too. Yeah.
That is a smoking gun. Where else did he get this ring from? Apparently, that's a smoking gun.
Yeah, and if you didn't hear it yesterday, Bill Belichick's boat has been named for several years now 8 rings. He won 2 rings with the Giants as their defensive coordinator, and then won another ring or 6 rings with the Patriots. So his boat has been named 8 rings, and he changed it every time he won a Super Bowl. It went from 2 rings to 3 rings to 4 rings to 5 rings, 6 rings. Now the boat has a new paint job, and it says 1 + 8 rings.
Yeah.
And he hasn't won any Super Bowls to add a 9th ring.
This is egregious, Randy. I'm seeing it right now. The differences between the two. TMZ has before and after photos of 8, and it's Roman numerals.
Yes.
So it was 8 rings, and now there's a 1 Roman numeral plus 8 rings.
Yeah.
That is the most egregious telltale sign that he put a ring on it that you can find. That's the smoking gun.
Isn't that fabulous?
Literally, there's gun. There is smoke pouring out of the nozzle of this one. This is insane.
I think it's fun.
I don't think it is.
I think it's cute.
I happen to be close to somebody who deals with divorces.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear a lot of horror stories about these kind of things. And so I can't help but be like legitimately terrified for Bill Belichick, just because this is, again, people have said it. It seems predatory.
Really?
Yeah. As soon as the real estate portfolio came out.
Okay. So predatory on whose part?
Jordan Hudson's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's creepy on Bill Belichick's part.
Yeah.
It's predatory on her part.
Upton Bell, former Patriots general manager, who wasn't there with Belichick, by the way, said, I think it's ironic that a man who really controlled everything, and I mean everything, now is being controlled by some other person. He said, you just can't point at the woman and say she's being controlling. That only happens if you let yourself be controlled. And she apparently was seen at a history museum, the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, wearing an engagement ring last month.
I'm sorry, can you read that "let yourself be controlled"
Yes.
quote again, please?
I will. You can't just point at the woman here and say she is being controlling. That only happens if you let yourself be controlled. That's Upton Bell, former general manager of the New England Patriots.
Listen here, Upton. I'm sorry, man. That is some 1980s, 85-ass stuff you got going there, buddy.
Which is probably where Bill Belichick lives socially.
Exactly. No, you don't. This is like, that's some victim blaming ass stuff right there. Like you don't just know, like you can be, it's called being manipulated. Like that's what this is. You're being manipulated emotionally, physically, mentally. She's manipulating him. And so you can't act like, well, he's giving his consent for her to take advantage of him. No. That would take away the aspect of being manipulated. That's what's happening here. Again, I'm not saying that, at one point he wasn't like, fine, I give her nice things. This is how like a 50-year difference works. But the point of let's get married, no prenup agreement, all the new real estate is in my name, that's definitionally predatory.
She has a powerful hold. She has there are things that young ladies can do that provide a powerful hold over some men. And apparently she's got something magic going on.
Nothing about this conversation is good. She's this.
I think it's
the real.
hilarious.
Again, it was kind of creepy, but as soon as the real estate thing happens, and again, you can't tell me his. And we heard the reports from Pablo Torre. No, we heard the reports from Pablo Torre about how his family's worried, and that's because there is no prenup agreement. They probably saw this coming. One of his family members probably saw him, knew he was getting in contact with his Jewelry Connect. I'm sure it was probably Steve. Steve told somebody else. Everyone goes, how's this happening already? Call the family lawyer. Does the family lawyer know anything about this? Has he drawn up any documents? This is how this stuff goes. This is how this happens. This is not a new thing.
No, but in this particular situation, because it's a guy that essentially stole a Super Bowl from us, kind of deserves it.
Okay, well that's a completely different thing, and
it's not.
Yeah, all right, fine. That's fair.
No, it's and he's probably, hey, let's be honest here. He's 73. He's probably enjoying this a little bit. Some parts of it.
I don't. You see him during these interviews. I mean, he never looks happy during interviews, but I don't. Doesn't look like he's enjoying anything.
Making him happy. That's my point. Maybe she owns his happy place. I don't
know why we had to go to that spot on it. Earlier somebody says we were talking about things being outlawed. The bob and weave is still outlawed.
Stephen Carter Jr. Great. It's always Steve's fault.
Sorry, Steve. Listen, it's also funny that my older brother's name is Steve, and so I think it's really funny that we're going to that. I believe that as soon as they got rid of the rule stopping team celebrations, that was the rule that outlawed the bob and weave, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Dennis Green. He thought that his team was being taunted. Well, if you don't want to be taunted, don't allow 7 touchdowns in a playoff game.
Okay.
49-37.
I need a team, not the LA one. I need a team to do the bob and weave.
Okay.
I've been waiting for someone to bring back and do it. I was terrified. Legitimately, like I would have been emotionally scarred if the LA Rams would have done it from like 2016 to 2022.
Oh yeah, me too.
It would have emotionally scarred.
Yeah,
like when they made the rule that you could do the group celebrations, one of my first thoughts was, if they do the bob and weave in LA, I'm going to crash out publicly.
I like that.
But I kind of want a team to do it because the bob and weave was a fantastic, fun, beautiful celebration, and I want somebody to do it again. Just not the LA Rams. I will be so mad.
There really is no other greatest show on turf association in the league anymore, is there? I mean, even are there any players? I don't think there's any Rams players coaching in the NFL, are there?
No.
So we're probably going to miss out on that, because think about this now. A young player coming into the league at 21, 22.
He has no idea.
No, the bob and weave was 25 years ago.
Trying to think. I don't know. Maybe
Hockey Dad Don. Yes.
Doesn't Wistrom have a kid going through college right now?
Daughter playing. I think she's playing volleyball at Nebraska. He moved back to Lincoln.
Pace's
By
son,
the way,
I think Pace's son's.
He was at
somewhere.
Ohio State.
Damn.
Jalen was tight. I think he was a senior last year.
Gotta get us like a second generational in there.
So I got to tell you guys this, if you aren't aware of it. Maddie Isringhausen, Tennessee Tech volleyball player, Jason Isringhausen's daughter, the Ohio Valley Conference Female Athlete of the Year. Not just the female volleyball player of the year, the female athlete of the year. She's awesome. Didn't win a championship because Tennessee Tech couldn't beat Lindenwood. Sorry about that. But a spectacular volleyball player with a spectacular career at Tennessee Tech. She's going to keep playing. But congratulations to Madeline Isringhausen, the Ohio Valley Conference Female Athlete of the Year. Pretty cool. And you talk about athletic genetics. She obviously took those from Izzy and the Orlando Pace's kids. What are you thinking?
We got a chat here from our executive producer, Joe Roderick, who said, I interviewed Rams running back Darrell Henderson a few years ago on Radio Row. He's from Memphis. He did not know who Isaac Bruce was.
That's not good.
That's, you know what? I wish I would have known that about Darrell Henderson when I was doing draft prep for him. I would have dropped him down so many rounds for that. That is absolutely egregious. How do you not know that? By the way, Real American Intelligence and Samuel Howe on the same wavelengths here. Samuel Howe says a Battlehawks bob and weave for the pending playoffs.
Oh, good.
Real American Intelligence says, why can't the Battlehawks do the bob and weave? If the Battlehawks score a touchdown in the championship game of the UFL and do the bob and weave and then win the championship of the UFL, Oh, yes.
That's a great
Okay.
idea.
I'm
So
in. Let's go.
We'll get. I'm going to go tomorrow.
Oh,
I'll
God,
get Brian Stull and Anthony Beck to work on that. By the way,
I'd be so
the Battlehawks are at home tomorrow. If you aren't aware of it, that game was originally scheduled to take on the Brahmas in San Antonio, but San Antonio couldn't get a hold of their facility for tomorrow. So the game is tomorrow night, 7:00. Tickets available for the Battlehawks and San Antonio. And you can catch Battlehawks Hub Weekly, available here on Sports Hub STL with Luke Slaybaugh and Judy Strotter. And they're going to get you ready for the game tomorrow and then to have post game tomorrow night. The show is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box, which is delicious. You can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets and get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for just $8.99. It's a great deal, and the food is great. And tomorrow, if you're not going to the game, get some and celebrate at home. Or if you're going to tailgate, get some Battlehawks boxes and take them to your tailgate because they are absolutely delicious. And they're only available at Lee's Famous for Chicken. Caw-caw!
Caw-caw!
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to head over to the ballpark tomorrow and hang out with the Cardinals for a little bit and then head over to the Dome and take in the Battlehawks game.
That's a full little Saturday you got going there, Randy.
It's a Friday.
Or Friday. Oh, my God. Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
I was off by a day.
Yeah. And then we got, I got a cool thing. So you like brisket, right?
Love brisket.
So for the TV show, we're filling in for Laura Hediger and Kent Earhart and Matt Chambers on Monday. Andrew Rogers and I are going to take over Channel 4 from 9 to 10.
Nice.
And one of the things we're going to do on Memorial Day, going to have our buddy Mike Johnson from Sugar Fire teach us how to do the perfect brisket. That's in the 9 o'clock hour on Channel 4 on Memorial Day, on Monday morning. And so you can learn how to make the perfect brisket. And I think that's one thing that you've always asked me about. And we've always wanted to talk to Mike about it. So going to have that on TV on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. But I want to make the perfect brisket. That's
going to be extremely useful. And I'm glad you're doing that. But I will say one thing I love about talking to Mike is because I feel like brisket, there's a very small window to get brisket right. And everyone who cooks good brisket, they all get it in the same small window. And that window is powerful and flavorful and incredible. I feel like, though, there's a wider delta with other meats. Let's say like burgers, you can get a good burger, or you can get like an incredible burger. And there's more differences in between the middle. So I actually like the way that Mike talks about burger making, because I actually think his keys to making a burger take it to a completely different level, whereas he's going to teach you how to make a great brisket. But there's just, you can't top the way that brisket has been made for the last 100 years. But there's something about burger making that seems to get better every year, and he's on the forefront of it. And so I feel like do the brisket, but always make sure to get across that his you got to get the right cuts. You do part rib meat, you do part chuck. Just everything about the way that Mike talks about building burgers is just as good, if not even more important than when he talks about a brisket, in my opinion.
Pro tip: if you want fantastic burgers, and I will put. I think I still have his recipe. I hope it wasn't in my 101 ESPN email box because it's gone now. But if I can find it, I will put it up on both YouTube on X and Facebook. I'll put them on my pages, and I will try to give you that the Mike Johnson from Sugar Fire and also High Point. I will give you those ideas as to how to make the perfect burger. But pro tip, it all starts with the meat. And if you go and just get the burger blend at the smokehouse, Annie Gunn Smokehouse in Chesterfield Valley, you can't go wrong with that start. Tell them that Randy said he wants, just get the burger, go to the butcher shop and say, I want the same blend that Randy gets. And they'll know at Annie Gunn's. And that's a great place to start. Annie Gunn's Smokehouse. The burgers are spectacular. So I'm talking about Memorial Day. I'm talking about Monday. If you want to make them, man, they're fantastic.
Bach Hog says key to the burger is smash burger. Okay, I'm going to throw out maybe a controversial opinion about smash burgers, but you do not. The way that some people do smash burgers, in my opinion, is wrong. Which is you don't put a ball onto the griddle and then smash it down, because you're kicking all the juices out of there. You're going to dry up parts of the burger. What the key to do is you get 2 pieces of parchment paper and you squeeze the burger into a thin patty when it's raw.
Uh-huh.
And you get it to that extremely thin piece there. So that way, when you put it on the grill, all the caramelization and all the juices in the burger are going to get cooked right there in the burger. You don't got to push anything out so that it kicks out and then just kind of cooks onto the griddle. Now you get all that caramelization and stuff on the burger
Mm-hmm.
and the meat. It all happens on the patty in itself. It's juicy. It's thin. You get all the good smash burger stuff without the, in my opinion, the one potential bad part when you're kicking everything out of there.
Very good point. Real American Intelligent Perfect Brisket starts at 4 a.m. I've been told that you need to let it rest for 4, 5, 6 hours. So I'm planning on starting it at 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then you can let it rest for a really long time if you want. Even if you want to start it, if you want to go 10 to 10 and then let it rest from, and sometimes you have to do it for 14 hours. You have to get it to 202 to 205 degrees.
Oh, my God.
But then let it rest, and you will have great brisket. At least that's what I tasted. Let's see.
You.
We've got, well, you know what we have to get? And tell me out there, people that are tuned in and typing in on the chat, do you have, or do you know anybody that has, or do you want a Blackstone?
Oh, I have a Blackstone.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
So that's, if you want a smash burger, Blackstone's the way to go.
They're absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
It's great for it. I need to get better at using my Blackstone. The problem is that like I can cook everything in one pan for the most part. And because it's just me and my girlfriend. And so the Blackstone is great if you have a family, because if you ever need to make breakfast, instead of getting like 9 pans, you just got the Blackstone rolling everything. My thing with the Blackstone is that like I want to use the Blackstone, but I can cook everything I have on a pan and get almost the exact same effect, because it's like I gotta cook 2 burgers. I don't gotta cook 8. I gotta cook 2.
Uh-huh.
It's easy.
Yeah. I am going to get a Blackstone one of these days soon.
They're fantastic.
Yep.
Love a good griddle.
So Black Backhog says, I start my brisket at 9 p.m. So 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. and then let it rest for about 4 hours. That's cool. Do you 2 questions, and I have to text Mike about this, because tell me how you wrap it. Do you put it in like plastic wrap to let it rest, or do you put it in foil? I haven't decided what I'm going to do.
Oh, the butcher's paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can cook it with that, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, I believe you can cook
but
with
then
it, yes.
you're also, yeah, you can do the wrap. I guess maybe I should just get some butcher's paper. Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think butcher paper seems to be the most universal.
Butcher paper. Okay,
yeah,
everybody's
paper.
going butcher paper. Okay, cool. Let's see. Nancy Renee wants a Blackstone. You got it. You get a Blackstone. You get a Blackstone. You get a Blackstone.
And the issue with Backhawks is the issue with rust. Yeah, get a good cover. And make sure you just, the good thing about the Blackstone is you can always just turn it back on, heat it up, throw some water, get the scraper out, and then re-season it. That's the nice thing about the Blackstone, is that you can usually reset it back to factory if you do a good job of keeping the cover over the majority actual griddle part.
Okay, good. Hey, we need you to know that the 2025 STL Sports Show is going to take place at the Doubletree in Chesterfield on Friday, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st. There's going to be autograph signings from stars like Grant Fuhr, Ryan O'Reilly, Roman Berkey, Armand Membo, and many more, plus tons of vendors with trading cards and memorabilia. It's really going to be fun. And if you are an autograph person, it's the place to go. Membo is going to be a star with the Jets, so you want to get his autograph. Just go to stlsportshow.com to find out the schedule and all of the information. VIP packages and photo ops are available for most athletes. Plus, right now, just use this promo code SHOW15, and you can get 15% off tickets for Fuhr, O'Reilly, and Berkey. It's the 2025 STL Sports Show, Friday, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield, stlsportshow.com. Did we just do Sports Grub STL?
We did just do Sports Grub STL.
That's good.
Yeah, we always got to get a Sports Grub STL in there as well. Let's make sure to remind everyone one more time. It's down on the bottom of your screen, but head over to sportsgrubstl.com right now. Sign up for the newsletter for free and be entered in to win a chance to win the tickets to Saturday's game for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and by the way, you will the newsletter is going to go out today, and not only do you get the opportunity to find out how you can win tickets for the Cards and the Diamondbacks, but starting Monday, you can listen to this very show, actually Tuesday, because that's when we're back. But wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to it in audio. uploaded once the show ends every single day at all of the different podcast outlets.
People have been clamoring for the podcast. Can't wait to do it. I will apologize. We do this show on YouTube, so there will be elements that I forget to build out for audio only, and I apologize for that ahead of time.
Oh yeah,
but it's something that happens. I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna apologize ahead of time. There's gonna be stuff we do. You're like, why can't I see what they're doing on the screen right now? I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Sometimes we have to deal with that. All right. It has been a fabulous Friday Eve. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back at it tomorrow. Cardinals with the night off, but great NHL and NBA action tonight. And we'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk to you about tomorrow as we start Memorial Day weekend.
If we learned anything last night, as Minnesota United's Anthony Marcanic beat up on St. Louis City. Right now, rolling with a Minnesota Ant apparently get you good things. So jump on your DraftKings pick six and pick Anthony Edwards more on whatever stat you want and build out a pick six that way. Because again, if Anthony Marcanic can go off in Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is going to have a baller of a game.
And it's very important. One thing that you should always keep in mind when you go through life, it's important to have a reliable Marcanic.